Have you ever thought of visiting Mount Shasta or Sedona, Arizona, and wondered which would be better for you? What benefits do they have? What is the deep energy within each of them? Well, today, Chloe and I have gotten together as I've lived in Sedona for 12 years, recently moved, and Chloe's been to Mount Shasta several times. So we are going to list the pros and cons and the energies and the experiences of both places to give you a better idea of what they're like and help you make a decision of which one to visit. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube and you visited one or the other, list your experiences down below, especially if you visited both of them. Well, how did you feel differently in each one? Chloe, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Chloe Pedalino, and my company is known as The Source Within, where I have a podcast. I also am a clinical therapist as well, and I am fusing essentially spirituality and mental health together. So thanks so much for having me here.
And I'm Tracy Canberra. I am a multidimensional guide, an intuitive soul coach. I also have a podcast, Your Multidimensional Journey, and I do one-on-one sessions, group sessions. I have a Soul Spark community that I'm launching next week, so that's really exciting. That allows me to do more Q&As and reach more people.
Exciting. I forgot to
Um,
add also that I host some retreats, and I have an upcoming one in Mexico.
I
And
saw
next
that.
next May, I'll be hosting one in Shasta.
Oh,
So
beautiful. I will be
yeah,
there. I will be
cool.
there.
Love
I
that.
have always wanted to go to Shasta. It was a best friend trip that
Mm,
never transpired, and she passed away. So now it
okay.
holds a different energy for me because we
Sure.
never made it there. So it would be a blast to go there with you and enjoy the energy. And anytime you're doing a retreat, so even if you hop on a plane and go to Shasta or Sedona by yourself, it always helps to find a great healer there, one that works with the energy, that knows the places to go, that can see inside you and help you bring forth what you wish to, whether it is clearing, healing, stepping into. I think both places are probably really great for that.
Absolutely. And also people who know how to connect with the land in both of these
Yes.
places and the energy in both of those places as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Although
it's
I
really
have
key.
to say, in my vortex journeys in Sedona, where we go to the stupa, the medicine wheel, we're out on the land, the people that don't feel it. And one of my best friends from Sedona that was just visiting me here, she hangs out with psychics. She actually does vortex journeys, but not real spiritual type. And
Okay.
she doesn't noticeably see or hear or feel things. And
Uh-huh.
so I have had clients that couldn't really feel it until we got together. Like, you know this, as a healer, you can put your bubble of energy out so big that the client can step in that, and that
Mm,
helps them to feel the energy. You can kind of guide them into the energy, because I'm telling you, everybody is seeing and hearing and sensing and feeling and knowing. They just don't realize it. Like the
right.
claircognizance, the knowing gets me every time. I'll hear a little something in my head and I'll be like, yeah, I don't want to do that today. And then something happens. I'm like, oh, that was you guys telling me to do that today. Yeah, now I know.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
when they're there, even if they don't believe they can tune in, they are tuning in and you can help them tune in.
Yeah, I would
So,
absolutely agree with that. And I think the energy, at least in Shasta, I've been to Sedona as well. So I
oh,
can speak a little
yay.
bit to both, but only briefly. The energy in Shasta, I feel like is so palpable, it'd be hard to not feel it. And people who aren't into any
Mhm.
sort of this stuff, also that I would meet there, what have you, also talked about how profound the energy was. They're like, I can't put my finger on it, but it's just something.
Really?
So at that point, I don't think you even have to be aware of or know too much to receive the
To
benefits from
feel it.
actually being there. Yeah, to
Oh,
feel it. And but also even if you
but to
don't feel
receive the
it, know that
benefits.
it's happening.
Yeah.
It's
No, that's
undeniable.
true. There's a lot of people that visit Sedona for the red rocks. And I've
Ah,
even seen them in the medicine wheel. They go running. I've literally seen them do a lap in the medicine wheel, like it's an Olympic sprint. It cracks me up. So even if they're there for the red rocks, oh, they're getting healing. And so
Uh-huh.
it always kind of gives me a chuckle that they're like, oh, we're just visiting it. It's a bucket list thing. We're checking it off like the national parks and we're going to see the red rocks.
Yeah,
And then they go home and their life crumbles and this blows up and that changes and all this stuff happens. I'm like, yeah, you took it home with you. What did you expect? I mean, you're
right.
right. It's that energy is going to work on everyone that shows up, you
Right,
know?
right.
Yeah.
And when I first went to Sedona, I wasn't as in tune as I am now. I didn't have a ton of wild experience, like
Yeah.
sensory experiential things there actually, because it was just earlier in my
But a
experience.
lot of it,
But
but
afterwards, when I got home,
yes.
things started unraveling and opening up for me and this and that. And
Mhm.
so it was working. It was working
Yeah.
just on a subconscious level.
And a lot of
Yeah,
people don't put two and two together. They don't
sure.
realize when it happens a week later that it was begun there, that
Sure.
that's where it fired up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in your intro, we are talking about how do you decide which one to go to, Sedona or to Shasta? And what I feel like is that a lot of these places with this amazing energy that they call you. I mean, at least that was my
Yes.
experience, that they call
Yeah.
you to them. So I encourage people to
Hmm.
heed that, to listen to that. Where are if are you drawn to Sedona? Okay, listen to that.
That's
There's
where
a
you're going.
reason. Are you drawn to Shasta? Listen to that. And that's what drew me to Shasta
And didn't
and
that
Sedona.
happen just a couple months ago? You
Just
were
a couple
gone
of
going
months
for a
ago.
few days. It was like, get back here. And you went for a couple of few
Yes.
days, right?
Yes. Well, I had over my life, like throughout the years, Shasta was like, oh, I should go to Shasta, just like not knowing much about it, just being like, Shasta, huh? Somewhere to go. And it's been a long time that it's been a little bit calling to me, but I just didn't put it two and two together or anything. And then this past year, it was like, all right, I need to go to Shasta. Like, I need to go. And then I went
Yeah.
and I was like, okay. And then I was leaving and it didn't want me to leave. So I came back and then I eventually left. And yes, it drew me right back there within the
Yeah.
same month. Yeah, it calls you.
For Sedona, my kids were young then, and I was taking them to the Grand Canyon. I lived in the Midwest, and
Uh-huh.
we were driving out to California actually, but we were stopping at the Grand Canyon, and we stayed in Flagstaff. And I saw a sign for Sedona when I was on my trail run, and I was like, "Huh, it's really close. I've heard about that place." And
Mhm.
meanwhile, I had been hearing for months where the red rock meets the forest, where the red rock meets the forest, over and
Mm.
over on repeat in my head. And I didn't know what it meant. So I'm like, well, until y'all give me like coordinates or, turn on Google Maps, I can't, there's nothing I can do with this. I was like, let's just see what Sedona's like. So we go down the canyon and I'm like, oh, it's where the red rock meets the forest. This is what y'all were talking about. And then my best friend and I did a girls' getaway every year. And so in 2011, we were going to go to Sedona and she had some work complications and she's like, I just can't go. And I had already flown to LA. So I was already at her house and I'm
Oh,
like,
wow, you were there. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, "Well, I love you, but I'm going without you because I'm not gonna sit and
Mhm.
watch you work for another 4 days." And so I just told Spirit, "Find me a good rental car, find me a good Craigslist." This was before
Yep.
Airbnb, so yeah, I
Mhm.
got on Craigslist to find rooms. And I went there, and as I was driving up, I missed the one turn to come in from the west, and so I came in through Village of Oak Creek by Bell Rock. And
Okay.
as I turned the corner and saw Bell Rock, I just burst into tears. And it was like, you
Wow.
are home. And so when I was done with that trip and I flew back to the Midwest, I told the kids, hey, you want to move to Sedona? And they're like, sure. And we just sold everything. And a month later, we were in Sedona. And
Wow.
that was 13 years ago. So I lived there for 12 years. I loved being in the energy, loved the tribe, the community. That was the first time I
Mm.
had ever had my tribe where you could sit in a coffee shop and talk about angels and aliens and starships and other lives and jumping timelines. So that was really fun. I think
Sure.
the pandemic changed the face of a lot of towns. And so
Yeah.
Sedona changed a lot. And my best friend passed away. So I was like, just get me out of here. This is not the town I moved to. My tribe is all gone. Between tourism and Airbnb, it really changed the rental market as it has all
Right.
over the world. And so my tribe was gone. While the energy, the intensity was still there, it was a different town. So I moved and I traded it for the different elements, the mountains and the water. And I think I'll be back again. But yeah, I left the fire and went to earth and water. Yeah,
Mm.
12 years I spent there though. It's like jet lag. If you fly a lot, you don't realize you're jet lagged because you are every day. And for
Uh-huh.
me, that intensity, when you live in it every day, it just is. So I have a question. I
Mm.
found when I moved to Sedona, I started having all these spontaneous visions and remembrances of Native American lives I had. Did you
Mm.
feel now? Mount Shasta, you've got Telos, the seventh dimensional Lemurian enclave below. I've heard it has a lot of different energies, not just the beautiful, divine, neutral flow of Lemurians, but a lot of energies. Did you notice that you were having a lot of visions or sensing a lot of particular energies in Shasta?
Was I having a lot of visions and was I sensing a lot of energies, different energies? I feel like those are two part. That's why I'm saying it.
Okay.
So ask me about both of them. I mean, in terms of memories, I have had memories about actually being Atlantean. I'll start there because I think a part of why I have been drawn to Shasta is to remember a lot. And I have had this memory of me being Atlantean towards the end of the Lemurian civilization, actually being in charge of helping Lemurians move to that area and to the Pacific
Really?
Northwest. You and I have talked about me being a bridge in so many ways as well. And I was thinking about you and I recording today, and you've spoken about connecting more with Lemuria. Is that correct? That you've
Yeah.
had past life, yeah. And
Yeah.
I connect more with Atlantean. And so in history, it could be that they were at odds, and they were to some
Hmm.
extent. But I believe I was in this bridge role of knowing that like I was not favored by the Lemurians that I was trying to help, but also trying to actually help them reach safety and reach Telos.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I have that memory, and I've had that through connecting through the land here, not just in Shasta, but also just the Pacific Northwest, the mountain ranges out here, and that sort of thing. So that has been a memory that has come back, and the energy in Shasta. I would say that there is a lot of different types of energy there.
Mm.
I was mindful, especially if I was alone at any time, I was mindful of where I was going. I was paying attention to the energy that I was feeling. And you want to
Mm.
be when you're just on that big, enormous, magnificent mountain by yourself. You're in the wilderness, and it's not just that type of wilderness. And so
Wow.
I was mindful about walking around, and I had my dowsing rod with me, and I would be really cautious about where I was going if I was just going to an off beaten path kind of place.
Hmm.
The energy varied. I mean, incredible Palladian, loving,
Really?
nurturing energy in certain places that I was told about, where you could just sit and bathe. And I look forward to bringing people to this particular spot on the retreat. Really, really healing, feminine, loving energy. And I think Shasta is known as the root chakra. And I believe that as we're in this transition kind of time, as we're rebalancing between the divine feminine and masculine, I feel like a lot of people are going to be called there to receive healing across time, space, all of that.
Mm.
So the Palladian energy, I think, is really key in that aspect. What incredible energy. There's a forest of ascended masters there, which is pretty magnificent,
Wow.
and very cool and very fanciful. You see them scooting around in this forest type setting. So that's kind of like a playful energy I found, and almost like a social energy. I can't see, but I feel. So I can feel them buzzing around.
Well,
But
if
this
I,
other
if
one,
I can interrupt a second. So
sure,
ascended
sure.
masters,
Yes,
anybody like Jesus, Saint Germain, Sanat Kumara, there's a lot of ascended masters. But
sure.
also what happens is when we're in these energy vortexes, the veil is so much thinner. So you can just sense them more. They're just more easy to connect to. When you talk about the forest with the ascended masters, because when you step into that area, the veil thinner, you can connect more. So whether you can talk to them, whether you can just feel them, whether you talk to them and don't hear the answers, trust me, you're getting the answers. You really are.
Hmm.
But just to commune with them.
And be in their
Yeah.
presence. Just even to back up about the energy, for me, it was so palpable when you can tell when you're in it, when you're in this area of where the energy is, and when you're not. And that 5D, it was a big understanding of what are we talking about 5D energy, because you literally are there and it's like you're floating a little bit. you're floating a little bit, all is good. Everything is great. Like everything is going to be okay. There is a lot of love. There's this unity, sense of oneness just by being there. You can't deny it. So when you were
Mm,
talking so much about 5D and 5D is a state of mind, it was so nice to have a taste of that in some ways, to be like, now I get kind of what we're talking about here.
yeah.
I guess I would say that that was like a pervasive energy. Then you have these other energies that are coming in. And I think what you're saying, right, is that you are at a higher frequency. So I was naturally at a higher state, meaning that I was naturally able to, like, as you said, commune and
Mhm.
connect in with other beings. And then I had another really profound, wild interaction with, I believe, Telosians.
Meaning the Lemurians and Telos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And now I don't know how that all works. I ask sometimes, I'm like, okay, so are you not this, like, can I just not see you? Because I know that they are physical, or they can be in physical form.
They're in physical form, but they're in another dimension. It's like if you get up to get a drink of water right now, you may be able to talk to me from the kitchen, but I won't be able to see you because you won't be on screen anymore. So I always say it's not past, present, future. As far as lives go and as far as timelines go, it's kitchen, living room, dining room. That's
That's a
why
great
when
way
you're
to,
in a 5D state of being, you could walk past somebody and they could not see you. I mean, this would happen to me in Sedona. They would not even see you because you are in a different dimensional awareness than them. So they just didn't notice. Yeah,
uh-huh.
it's fascinating.
Mhm.
So
It's
what was your
fascinating.
experience then with the Telosian?
So I was walking to this certain area, and I had been introduced to it before by this man, Paula Venus, a very good guide. And but I was venturing there on myself, and it just was a complete portal. Like they stopped me. I was stopped in my tracks, and they basically were explaining that this was an entryway and that I had
Oh.
been here before when Atlantean was bringing Lemurians there. And they just were like pausing me basically to show me the gravitude of the situation and grant me permission essentially to continue into this vortex, sure, but also entryway into not sure exactly what, Moria or what have you.
Telos is one enclave of Lemuria, like
Sure,
my
just one.
experiences. And I think I discussed this in my one podcast that is The Truth About Atlantis and Lemuria. I opened up spontaneously 20 years ago. And once I opened up, everything kind of came to me. I mean, I didn't go looking for anything because I didn't know what to look for. And so everything came to me. And so I was in a vision one day where this tall guy in a cape or cloak or something took me into this really tall, big cave. And it was just brown dirt. And he was talking to me and he explained the Lemurians. And once he took like the hood and the cape off, then he was just a more beautiful, glowing, loving person. And we would walk through the cave and Andaran crystals, which Andaran crystals are like primordial energy. It's almost like cut glass. Andaran crystals, I find so extremely powerful. Have to be
Mhm.
real careful where you get them. We went through the cave, like through a tunnel, and off to the right was just a little brown dirt room, but it had these crystals sticking out of the walls. And
Wow.
I had already communed with Andaran crystals, with the Andaran beings, the collective consciousness. And so I went in there and we had quite a talk. But when I came out, my guide took me farther in, and it was like the cave ended and we ended up in the crystalline city of Telos, the seventh dimensional crystalline city of Telos. So for
Mhm.
me, are they people that live in a cave underground? No, it's a different dimension, and it is a
Okay.
portal to Lemuria because Telos isn't the only Lemurian enclave. There's a lot of Lemurian experiences to be had, but it was very crystalline city for me. And I still go back
Yeah.
there because I have a six-dimensional Lemurian life and a seven-dimensional Lemurian life. So Nick, my six-dimensional Lemurian self, I can just go visit him and talk with him.
Mm.
So think of these energies as portals. Like in Sedona, you've got
Okay.
Bell Rock, and in front of it, you have Baby Bell. And Baby Bell
Yeah.
Rock, I remember the first time I climbed up it and was sitting there, and this is with my kids, like in 2011, and we were watching the sunset, and I kept seeing Aboriginals, and I'm like, what is going on? And
Mhm.
then someone said it's the ley lines. It connects to Uluru, Ayers Rock in Australia. I didn't know that. So I'm sitting on it and I'm seeing all of this stuff. And
Wow.
I'm asking my kids, do you see this? What is going on? And to the east of it is another little rock, closer to Courthouse Butte. And that is like a UFO rock. And so you sit on there and you just see the starships. Although I have seen massive starships land in front of Bell Rock. Those were praying mantis people, and they were very cool. It is really weird to talk to like an 8 foot high praying mantis,
Yeah, I
but they were really
imagine.
cool. My Arcturian collective, the life I have there of the collective consciousness, my Arcturian collective helped me see the starship and the praying mantis people. But being a runner, I did a lot of trail running. And
Mm,
I tell people, you want to be psychic, wash the dishes, fold the laundry. For me, it was trail running. It's really rocky in Sedona. And so I'm looking down at the rock. My brain is busy looking at the rocks so I don't trip, which
right.
it has a task to do. So it allows the multidimensional mind in. So then I could just hang out with my guides. Most of the incredible experiences I've had were on Bell Rock. One time I saw a guy I was running past and he was coming down and he was alone. And the frequency was so different than mine that it was like jamming my signals. It was, and I could just feel it. And I had this thought, if I don't get away from him, like he's going to jam my signals. Like I'm just going to fall down. And so I did a burst of speed so that by the time he got close to me, I was already well past him. And I
Mm,
was like, what was that? And it was one of his higher selves had jumped in him. Now, when we talk about
mm,
Sedona and
mhm,
being possessed by aliens, I personally don't believe in that. First of all, it's your higher self. It's another spark of your soul. So
mm,
it's you in another life and you give permission. You may not be aware of it, but when they want to have an experience, then they say, hey, can I come in and have this experience? So somewhere in your multidimensional mind, I guess, you say, yeah, hop on in. And so it wasn't him in there. And the funniest
uh-huh.
part to me is once I was done with my run and I got to the south parking lot of Bell Rock, this older woman with two little kids said, hey, have you seen this guy? Real tall, dark hair, Hawaiian shorts. And I was like, yeah, he's about 10 minutes behind me. And I'm thinking, and it's not really him now. So good luck with that. But I
Uh-huh.
assume, his higher self left before he picked up his kids and tried to drive a car. It's more of a merging of
Mm,
consciousnesses. It's not possession. I think
mhm.
I've seen Men in Black. I don't remember the movie, but it's not just possession. It is merging of consciousnesses. One time I was running around Bell Rock and this old guy, I never stop to talk to people because you're running. Like I don't just
Sure.
stop to chat
Sure.
someone up. And so this old man was smiling at me and I just found myself stopped talking to him. And so we walked
Mm,
and talked a little bit and I could just feel like somewhere in my head, it was like, this isn't real. He doesn't really exist. It feels like a really high dimensional Arcturian energy. And so we talked for a few minutes. It was very enlightening. And I'm like, well, I better continue my run. So I started to run and then I turned around to say one more thing, gone. And I mean, we're on a trail, there's nowhere to go. He was
mm,
just gone. And another time, it was a couple in the grocery store. That was hilarious. For decades, I have seen this like sacred divine triangle pyramid of energy between Sedona, Mount Shasta, and Lake Titicaca in South America.
uh-huh.
And I've never been to either of those places other than
Okay.
Sedona. So I
Yeah.
don't know, but I've seen the way like the vortex, the ley lines, I've seen the way the energy goes. And so it's not about living in the center of that pyramid. I think it's about how the energy goes
It's
round and
connected.
round because they bring different energy. Like Sedona
Right.
is just plain intense. We do have a chakra system in Sedona. Bell Rock is the divine mother to
Mm,
me. And that's
mhm.
where I always started people on retreats. Bell Rock is the divine mother, it's the root chakra. Cathedral is the sacral. The airport vortex, which is very balancing, is the solar plexus. And then the
Mhm.
heart chakra is in uptown. Then you go into West Sedona for the throat chakra, Chimney Rock, which is right next to the stoop on
Mhm.
Medicine Wheel. Then for the third eye and the crown chakra, it goes way out of town, like Bear Mountain, Boynton Canyon, which is very
Okay.
magical in and of itself. Boynton Canyon, a lot of people visit that. So, yes, there's a chakra system, but overall, Sedona is just really intense. Sedona was the guy's wife's first name. that founded the town, that came down from
Okay.
Flagstaff. And
Oh, wow.
there's a statue of her in front of the library. So Sedona Schnebley was her name. I lived right in front of the cemetery where she was buried. But we had a saying in Sedona that Sedona shows you your stuff, because I'm not going to swear.
Mm.
Sedona shows you your stuff and kicks you out. And even for
Yeah.
healers, you were lucky if you lasted 6 months. I don't know
Yeah.
how I lasted 12 years. I don't know that I was kicked out. I left. When you have
Right.
such an important milestone in your life, like your best friend of almost 40 years
Sure.
passing, you just boom, you just kind of blow up everything and go different directions. So I don't know if it kicked me
Sure.
out, but I saw it happen all the time. So it's just
Yeah.
really intense energy that is very transformational.
Uh-huh.
It ends things, it begins things, it shakes things up. And even if you think that you don't feel the energy, you'll have dreams,
Hmm.
you'll have visions, you'll have synchronicities. Like, it's doing its job. It's
Yeah, it's
gonna do
doing it
its job.
for sure.
One other thing is that when you do the chimney rock loop, there's lizard head rock, which to me is my dragon. It's the golden dragon energy. I always saw it
Mm-hmm.
as a dragon, not a lizard. So you've got the dragon, and then it's right in front of Thunder Mountain. And I have connected with beings that were seventh, eighth dimensional that
Mm.
lived under Thunder Mountain. A lot of people say that there's a military base under Thunder Mountain or out in Long Canyon or something. I can't speak to that. I stay away
Uh-huh.
from that energy.
Mm-hmm.
But the beings that lived down below Thunder Mountain, there are a lot of beings that live on Earth and within Earth in higher dimensions. And they're
Yeah.
working with Gaia, they're working
Yeah.
with their own ascension, they've got their own journey. And these beings, every time I connected with them, when I would feel them really strongly, they weren't interested. They didn't want to talk. They didn't care. They weren't friendly. And I was like,
Oh, interesting.
okay. So it was
Interesting.
really weird for me to feel them, yet they wouldn't talk to me. I was
Engage.
like,
Okay,
okay, yeah,
interesting.
they
That's
just had
interesting.
no interest. But definitely there are beings living under Thunder Mountain. And there's
Sure. Yeah.
amazing crystal caves under Cathedral Rock, Bell Rock, and Courthouse Butte, which are kind of all in a row. But
Mm.
there's beautiful, I mean, an amethyst, a huge amethyst cave. I go there in like 5D. Now, do they exist in 3D? You know, if the government decided to mine there, I don't think so. I think it's 5D, because a place that I would always be taken to is, let me see, it was citrine under Cathedral Rock, amethyst under Bell Rock, and smoky quartz under Courthouse
Mm.
Butte, which is next to Bell Rock. And the
Mm.
smoky quartz, there would be this huge slab that was like the size of a full-size bed, except for it wasn't
Wow.
flat. It was like a little bit at an angle. Sedona being an intense place, you're doing a lot of
Yeah.
transformation. And so you need
Sure.
a break between it. So I would find myself, I would like wake up in the morning and just find myself on that smoky quartz slab with Palladian beings and
Mm.
love and wisdom, truth, honor, all of it. Love. It was beautiful. I don't know why it was comfortable, but it was.
Wow.
And it was just a lot of healing.
That's very
Yeah.
cool. That's very, very
Mhm.
cool. So have you heard of the Agartha network? What I've heard is the Agartha network is a network of underground civilizations. Now you're saying we don't know. Does it only exist in 5D? Does it not exist in the 3D? Like we don't really know that, I guess. But there's talk about the Agartha network being this underground network
Really?
of civilizations. Yeah. And so Telos is one of them, for example. So when you were talking about Sedona having these, I was like, okay, here. And also when you're asking what is Sedona in terms of like chakra wise or what have you, I don't know about that. However, I do wonder, there's also something known as the four corners of the US, and it's not necessarily the exact corners of the US. If I'm remembering correctly, it's more connected to the natives were aware of these locations. And I don't know them exactly, but I'm wondering if Sedona is the southwest
Hmm.
corner.
So it's not like the
And
Four Corners, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona,
no,
and
it's
Utah.
it's a bigger one
It's more
in the
spiritual.
US.
Oh,
This is a whole, the four corners is something that just is coming to mind right now as we're saying this. The Agartha is from a different thing. I'm just kind of putting these pieces together. This is how it happens for me. What I wonder about is is the four corners actually really this underground tunnel system? And that's
so
what the natives would talk about, is that the
I
people, the earth people, the cave people, came up. And I
There
think the cave people were in part Lemurian.
There are races that live in 5D, different Native American races, different Druid races, and,
Oh,
and
interesting.
oftentimes this was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So
Okay.
when you hear about, well, this population, oops, just disappeared in 1400s. No, they
Ah,
didn't. When white man came, they just went back up into 5D. They didn't want to play. The same with Druids. Some of the Druids, you'll find that when all the king's men came up to Scotland, Ireland, some of the
hmm,
Druids were like, oh, okay, I'll play your game. Let's see what happens. Most of them just went into 5D. So you had that separation so that they could continue
okay.
their evolutionary journey. So there's a lot of them. I have a Lakota guide that
Hmm,
brought me to him. I found myself sitting on a fallen log in a forest with this warrior guy in front of me. This is the first time I met him, and this was decades ago. And I was like, okay, hi. So we still talk occasionally. So just now I pinged him and I'm like, what's this four corners? Mm, understand that while there were many cave people, cave dwellers, and there were caves and travels. He's showing me tunnels, but he's calling them travels. There were
okay.
travels between different places. That you speak of is
Spiritual.
spiritual.
Okay.
Understand that the star people,
Hmm.
many of us had great connections with star people. And many of what you call Native Americans today are still very connected to star people,
Sure.
whether it be Syrians or Palladians or other races. We have never been alone, never. So on this
Mhm.
planet. So understand that the star people, he's moving into pictures because he's showing me that star people had enclaves underground. But what would happen is much like, I guess, like the Toltec or Mayan in the Vision Quest or something. What would happen is they would go, I have no shamanic knowledge, so I might have said that wrong. But what would happen is they'd go on this meditative vision quest. Like when you think of peyote and
Ayahuasca.
ayahuasca. Yeah, they would sit, and whether they just sat in meditation and went into the enclave, were taken there. So it's your multidimensional mind and it's bilocating. So the answer is yes, there were caves and tunnels, but it's much bigger than that because the indigenous that were here in this spiritual four corners, he's showing me there's a spiritual four corners. If you look at the Dakotas west, so like the northeast would be the Dakotas, the southeast is in New Mexico, and then Arizona and up to Oregon. And so he's saying that is the spiritual four corners, but
Okay.
understand there's a spiritual four corners across the globe. It unites the world.
Yeah.
So it was just how I describe bilocating, where you keep your brain busy so that your multidimensional mind can take your awareness. And the more you go there, the more of your awareness and your consciousness is there instead of here. That's intuition. That's how you see things, is your awareness is over there more than here.
Uh-huh.
So even though you're sitting in your chair here, you're actually over there. And
Sure.
when I first started, I practiced it so much that I can
Hmm.
bounce back and forth all the time and I can have multiple screens open. And then, like, if my daughter walks into my room, I can say something to her and then go right back into Telos.
I was drawn to the Hohokam Indians, natives, to study when I
Mm.
was like 14, 15. I went on some school trip and it was doing archaeology in Arizona. And I'm just curious, I don't know if they have any feedback about why that was.
Because you were resonating to your Orion life. So the Hohokam that were
Yeah.
reaching out to you when you were a child was your Orion connection. So
Okay.
have you ever seen your Orion lives?
I have been very called to Orion through a couple of various things. Have I seen them? Not necessarily, although I just had this experience the other night with the Arcturians that were coming to visit me that took me like beyond. I was like going through other galaxies to other
Oh,
existences.
that's
And they were telling me
beautiful.
that you are from here, but I don't
Yeah.
know more about my Orion lives now.
Ah, well, we'll have to
Mhm.
look into that, but that's what
Yeah,
that was. You know,
cool.
the Native Americans, some of them were working more with Palladians, some more with Syrians. It was different. Just like you said with Shasta, even though Telos and the Lemurian enclave is under there, there's also other energies there. In Sedona, everybody's there. And so you've got anyone you wish to contact. It's just volume on high. It's like heavy
Hmm.
metal music. It's so intense. And for many people, whether you wish to open up or not, it's going to blast you. I have a lot of clients that say, no, I'm called to Sedona. They have the ideal of Sedona, right? Well, I'm called to Sedona and I need to move there. And I'm like, I don't see that. It's the ideal. And they don't realize that being called to Sedona, and this is with anything, take it with a grain of salt, anything you hear, right? Because
Hmm.
they're called to Sedona. And I'm like, that doesn't mean you're called to live there. It
Right.
means that you're called there. Is it to clear something? Is it part of your transformation? Is it to meet someone else? There could be a lot of reasons, but
Hmm.
very few people are called to live there because it's such an intense place.
I wonder
Mhm.
similarly for me and Shasta. But just
Yeah.
to your point, if people are called there, I would agree with you is go on a trip first. Go on a trip first and then see how that goes before you kind of
Mhm.
pick up and move
Yeah.
there.
And we can both agree that if you're going to either Sedona or Shasta, having a great guide, if you're there
Yeah,
for the spiritual, if you're there for
sure.
transformation, to have a great guide. You had mentioned somebody to tell me this name again.
Paula
Paul.
Venus.
When I left Sedona, I trained the Vortex Journeys for a good friend of mine that's an amazing healer, Trish
Mm,
Arnold.
mm,
And she does some modalities that I don't do. She's a very kind of visceral and physical healer.
mm,
It's amazing. She just goes in and pulls stuff out of you. She does a lot of element work. I think some shamanic work, but it
mm.
really does help to have a good guide.
Trusted.
And when you're on the internet looking for guides and looking for tours to do, use your intuition, because if you're being called to either place, then you're going to want to jump in with both feet. Make a list. What do you want to release? What do you want to call in? What would you like to see happen? Because it's not just Machu Picchu that's the spiritual pilgrimage. I believe that Sedona and Shasta both are also,
Uh,
along with a
So
lot of other places.
yeah, and you know what I thought was so interesting at Shasta was that I saw a lot of international travelers. I did not see so many North
Really?
Americans. And I think it's
Oh,
because there
wow.
are other cultures that are a little bit more accepting, knowledgeable of the
Yeah.
power of these mountains and volcanoes. In India, there are corresponding mountains there and in
Yeah.
other Eastern countries. And so they have great respect for it. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
And Shasta has all of that earth and tree energy, whereas
Yes.
Sedona is all fire. Sedona is volcano. There's a lot of volcanic rock. And I
Yes,
was
there
really
is.
surprised. Trail running when I first moved, I'm like, why is it when the trail goes from red rock to black rock, I just feel my energy being zapped, like being pulled down through my feet? And my
Mm,
running partner was like, because that's volcanic rock. That's what it does. It's even more transformational. It's volcanic.
mhm,
Think about it. It was
mhm.
made in fury.
Same with the Cascade Mountain Range. We're sitting on tectonic plates,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's how Shasta shifted a bit. It's like 15 miles off of the grid of the other Cascades here. That was
Wow.
like, I don't know, 300,000 years ago, I think, if I'm correct.
Oh, fast.
It is really
Very interesting.
interesting.
I have a very interesting question. So we talked about aliens. What about Sasquatch, Bigfoot? There's another healer that lived in Mount Shasta for quite a while. All beings exist: dragons, unicorns, the elementals, fairies, dryads. If you can see into other dimensions, you can interact with them, provided they want to talk to you. There are a lot of fairy trees in Sedona. Rachel's
Same.
Knoll has a beautiful one when you sit under the fairy tree and you
Mm,
just get to sit in their energy and talk with
mm,
them. And
mm,
when we think of Tinkerbell, while they can do that, that's not their native state. Fairies are actually 6.5 feet tall. They're taller
mm.
than most humans. But what about Bigfoot, Sasquatch? Did you feel that energy?
I
Yeah.
didn't, but I also wasn't looking for it, if I
Mhm.
have to be honest. So, like, I'm not sure if I was necessarily totally looking for it or open to it. I did not feel it, but people say, yes, that's
Yeah.
definitely something that's known about Shasta, is
Yeah.
that that's where Bigfoot lives. So
There we
that's what
go.
people say.
And over in the Appalachian Mountains. I can connect with
Uh-huh.
them, but I've never been in a place where they are. I've
Okay.
never
Okay.
felt them. A lot of Native American energy in Sedona, but I've never felt anything like that. But I just find that fascinating,
Yeah, so
to be able
fascinating.
to like go to their house,
Yeah, right,
So,
right,
yeah.
right. And different to go to their house. I mean, as I said, there was different energy, and that's why I said to be cautious about it. There's lots around you, all sorts of different beings. That's very palpable.
On the mountain, if you went over here, it felt more Palladian. If you went over there,
Correct.
it felt more like elemental. So it
Yes.
had areas.
It had different areas. Exactly. Yes, it does. Both on the mountain and even down from the mountain. The energy is, it's a huge mountain. So, yes, different places would have different corresponding energy with it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's the same in Sedona with the
Hmm.
vortexes.
Hmm.
Bell Rock tends to mother you and help you reach your
Hmm.
goals, whereas Cathedral Rock just rips everything off. It's like, I'm going to throw up. I can't do it. And that
Mm,
happens to a lot of people that are sensitive, is it's
sure.
just really intense energy. So when you're doing something intense, like a vortex journey, a tour, or climbing Cathedral, or very few people can climb Thunder Mountain. It's actually really dangerous and not
Mm,
recommended. So you have to go
hmm.
with someone that knows what they're doing, because it's pretty easy to fall
Hmm.
off. But
Yeah.
when you're done doing something super intense, you go to airport vortex. And it's very balancing. So
Right.
it'll get you like harmonizing again after you've done something intense.
Mm,
I find that Chimney Rock, because it faces all of the chakras, I mean, it's a loop. So as you go
yeah.
around the loop, you're seeing the lower chakras, then you're seeing the heart chakra, you're in the throat chakra. And then as you go around, you're seeing the spiritual chakras, right? The crown and the third eye. And
Mm,
so I feel like that hike is a beautiful one. It's ups and downs, but it's only about 40 minutes. And that one is a beautiful way to get a full body chakra balancing and feel
mm,
all the energies of Sedona.
mm,
But again, it depends on what your intentions are. I bet when you're
absolutely.
going to either place.
I definitely think it has to do with intentions. And when they had brought me, he said specifically, usually I start much lower. He was like, but they're telling me I need to take you right here. And it was more
There you
intense
go.
energy. And different places you can get different types of energy. So the
Mhm.
Mount of Venus is very much loving Venusian energy, some Palladian energy, but predominantly Venusian energy is there as well. It's just very interesting. Ascension Rock is another place that's very, very powerful as a portal. And you
Portals in
definitely
both
feel it.
places.
Oh, both places,
Yeah.
tons of portals in both places. And to your point of like when you're done, once you're soaking in the energy, I would feel like I slept so well when I was there. I
Yeah.
mean, I was just coming down the mountain, I was just wiped. And it's so interesting. It was like this little loop that couldn't take you more than 10, 15 minutes to do it normally, but you feel like you feel like you've been like traveling for miles and miles in different places. And that's a
Sure.
feeling of being in portals. You're truly like out of this
Mhm.
world,
Right.
feeling like you're going on trips. So really
And
incredible.
I'll bring up that you can create personal portals. So
Mm,
you can create, and I've got a podcast on this too, the doorways to your dreams, but you can create a personal portal. Now, in Sedona, I had a lot of instances where a portal would just show up, and it's like this big iridescent wall of energy. And it would show up right in front of me when I was hiking. And so I really wouldn't have the option of not stepping through it, because it would show up right before I took the step. But as I went through that energy, I could feel it was a portal, and I'd look around and I'm like, no, that guy that's hiking towards me still looks the same. And this tree still looks the same. It's like everything looks the same, but you can tell it's different. It's like
yeah.
jumping timelines. And so you can
Yes.
create personal portals by setting your intention. Okay, I want to release this. I want to call in that, whatever it is. And you just create a portal and step through it. And you tell your brain, I feel this. I see the portal. I sense the portal. I feel the portal. I have stepped through. And
Mm,
as I step through that portal, I am no longer the person that smoked or was crying over a breakup or whatever
Mhm.
you're calling in, you can create personal portals, especially when you're in a deeply sacred place like Shasta or Sedona,
Sure.
to step through. And it really helps you energetically to release or to create. Yeah. Healing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. There's so much healing there. I want to bring up as well, I feel like I need to say it, is that do you know of Adama? Familiar at all? When you were talking earlier about these tall, 6 foot or higher figures, kind of like a blonde, blue-eyed. They've been coming to me. So I'm kind of rerouting back, but it's on my mind, so I can't not say anything about it. And also, when we're talking about the fifth dimension and these underground civilizations, I've also heard, though, at some point in time, people are going to be intermixing more with
Well,
us
sure,
in the third
because
dimensions, and that's going to be happening like more and more.
okay, first of all, Adama of
Yeah.
Telos did come in. I remember reading the Adama stuff like 15 years ago. Adama did come in. That was my shiver because we can say he, but it's more of a they, but did come in so we can talk to them. But
Okay.
here's the thing. They don't come to 3D. As they contract their frequency enough to be seen by us, they may not be comfortable coming all the way to 3D. They might want to stay in
Uh-huh.
5D or 6D. So what's happening is they're not coming down to us, we're going up to them. So
Hmm.
are we going to mix more with races that live in the different dimensions within Earth? Yes. A lot of it is portals that lead to other places, but it's us
Hmm.
expanding our awareness and our consciousness. And here's a big thing that I have seen in my 20 years of doing this, and I very strongly believe in this, is that we can already do all of this. Everybody can do what I do. Okay.
Hmm.
It's our
Hmm.
brain that stops us. Our brain is the gatekeeper. It's the bouncer in the nightclub, is what I always say. And so the brain is parsing out that information. No, for this 3D experience, we can't do that. We can't go there. We can't see them. We can't talk to angels, but that's not true. So all we're doing is retraining our brain to give us the information that it's already getting. The brain does
Hmm.
see everything. It
Right.
just filters it out because it's irrelevant to this experience. But now that we're ascending more and we're spending more time in higher dimensional states of being, then we're conditioning the brain. Let it in, let it in. I do
Hmm.
go here. I do see this.
Hmm.
So I agree. So many of us are going to start having more and more experiences of going places, whether you believe it's in a dream or in a meditation, it is by locating. And so we're going more places and meeting more beings. Now,
Hmm.
most of these beings, a higher version of self, it's another soul spark. It's another one of the soul's lives. When I'm talking to clients, guides, it's their guides. It's a version of them, and I can talk to them, but my guides are a version of me. So very rarely is a spirit guide or an alien or a multidimensional being that you're connecting with. Rarely have I seen that they're not a version of you. It's
Hmm.
not 100%. I'd say
Sure.
95% of the time you're talking to you in a higher dimensional life. So
Mm.
remember, same soul, you're sharing a soul. So it's going to get easier and easier. Yes. And people are going to be more and more able to do it. So we will be visiting those places. We will see that. So you say, where do you want to go? Who do you wish to speak with? Who do you wish to connect with? And remember, you can hear their answer if you believe you can. Like, say you want to talk to angels, just feel their wings around you, just sense their presence. When
Mm.
you're on Shasta, you sense the presence of all these different beings. You knew when you were here, it felt Lemurian, and when you were here, it felt Palladian. You were sensing them, you were connecting with them, they were working with you. So,
Yes.
whether you go to Shasta or Sedona, set the intention to connect with who you wish to.
Yes.
And it's not that there's no Syrians there or there's no Lyrans there. It's not like that at all. You can connect with anyone that you wish to. There may be certain things that are prevalent, but you
Hmm.
can connect with any being. So you have to set the intentions and open yourself up for it and notice. Notice the signs, notice the
Right.
dreams, notice the
Right.
interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. When I just set the intention for whoever and whatever is the best to
Mhm.
come to connect with me at this time, that I connect with them, because there are
See,
so
that's
many
beautiful.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
ask questions. So who are you? Where are you from? What do you
Hmm.
have to teach me? Ask a million questions. Just keep asking
Hmm.
questions and just keep getting the energy because the whole game of ascension is opening more and more and more and seeing the bigger picture more and more. Visiting both of those places and a few others on this earth, but
Oh,
both
yeah.
Shasta and Sedona can really help you in your ascension journey, help you to expand your awareness, to connect with more versions of self or new beings. I'm trying to think of anything else to share with Sedona.
Gosh.
Be prepared for the intensity, be prepared for transformation.
Be open. Expect anything.
Expect it.
I think these are such energetic places that there's a magicalness to them. So if you allow,
Yeah.
if you're open to what could happen, and
Mhm.
that was really my intention when I went to Shasta, was really being open to whatever could come my way, open to the magic and serendipity and synchronicities. And that also all came my way. It
Yeah.
also brought things very quickly to my attention that I had to look at and face and deal
Uh,
with. So be prepared for that because it's going to happen, but also the energy helps you move through it. So I feel like it's
exactly.
both brings it up, but also the environment is conducive to supporting you through it, in my
Yeah.
experience.
How about we end with Adama had come in and then I
Sure.
pushed them out more because we kind of left that topic, but
Mhm.
let's bring them back in. And there are 5 beings standing behind me. 10th dimensional Lemurian beings. Telos is a portal to higher dimensional enclaves of Lemurian energy. So we will say you can reach our consciousness level. This is the beings behind me talking. So I'll just talk out loud. Usually it's telepathic. It's movies or pictures or words. But I'm like, why y'all standing behind me? Because that is where you feel us the most. Okay. And that is where we can present on screen. And I'm like, okay, go ahead and blast everybody through the screen. I'm cool with that. Like the more the merrier. Let's get the frequency going. So they're
Sure.
standing behind me. A lot of love, but a lot of power. And of course, we're recording this. Leo season just started. We've been having a lot of solar storms, a lot of solar activity. So we're just stepping into a really powerful time for self empowerment, but a real chaotic time. There's a lot of chaos, there's a
Yes.
lot of flip flopping going on. So get clear with who you want to be and what you want because the energy is just blasting through. And the more clear you are in what you want or what you believe you want, the more you can ride that roller coaster rather than getting thrown off the back of the dragon. Sorry, everybody's showing up now because I'm in the space. So they're still here. The golden dragons are up there. And the golden dragons are telling me that they do a lot of work with Sedona. What about Shasta? You can connect with us in Shasta, but our energy resides more in the fire of Sedona, the golden dragon energy, the golden dragon fire. While Shasta is a very powerful spot, it is not the fire of burning it off. It is more like the truth of self revealed.
Hmm.
So they're showing me it's almost like you come up through yourself to the true you. The true you emerges. Yeah. Okay. So Adama, standing patiently right here. So Adama, okay. We would wish to tell all of your listeners and all of your viewers that a trip to either place will have the greatest of benefits, not only to your spiritual body, but to your mental, emotional, and physical bodies. Now is the time. Come visit and you will be guided. It was a beautiful talk, the conversation between the two of you, but we will tell you, you will be guided to Shasta or to Sedona or to several other places within the US, but around the world. Now is the time for humans to make their pilgrimage and understand that we will take Shasta, for instance. If you feel you don't have the time or the funds or other reasons that you cannot take a trip there, it can be just as powerful to watch movies, to watch videos about it, to watch videos about Lemuria, about Telos. Immerse yourself in the energies. So understand if you feel unable to visit a place, you can still visit a place,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
make your pilgrimage This is the time to choose your newest version of self, your highest version of self. Who do you want to be? And then use the energies of Sedona, of Mount Shasta, use the Lemurian energies, the Palladian energies, use your Orion energies, Syrian, Lyran, and many, many more. And understand, we may come to you in a mist of color, in a fine mist or a crystal sphere, like the crystal spheres that I use when I channel. We can come to you in many ways, but color is frequency. Feel us, know us, sense us. And if you find yourself immersed in a colored sphere, ask, whose energy is this? Who am I merging with? What am I bringing out? For each of you humans is a very unique energy being. And of the many, many lives that you have across many dimensions, many planets, many timelines, many everything, of all of the lives you have, they are all unique and they all resonate differently to your human self, in your human heart. So the experience will be different for everybody. So the two of you could stand side by side on Mount Shasta and find that you are talking to Palladians and you are talking to Lemurians.
Mhm.
So it is whatever you are calling in, it works for you. So good luck. We are
Mhm.
always with you. Visit us. Visit us in your dreams. Visit us in your videos. Hmm? They just said, we are here for ascension. And Adama,
Mhm.
usually it kind of condenses into one voice. And at the end, they go, we are here for ascension. And they came into everyone's voice. So it was like a stadium saying, we are here for your ascension. And I was like, oh,
Cool.
okay. Uh,
Cool.
I'm asking the Lemurians behind me if they have anything else to say. No, they're doing light codes. So light language, Lemurian light language. And there's a beautiful light language girl, Jamie from the White Walls on YouTube.
Mhm.
Beautiful light language. And a friend of mine in Sedona, Light Star on YouTube, she can connect via light language to any being. So the
Cool.
two of them are beautiful with light language. Light language is what this little group behind me is doing, that blasting me right through my chair, blasting the screen. Light language is sacred geometry. I think we talked about this last time, like sacred geometry. So it is downloads, it is codes, it is information, it is wisdom, it is unlocking so much that we keep hidden from ourselves. And so you've got light language in every language, but the Lemurian light language that they are doing, like you, Chloe, going straight into your third eye and into your throat chakra, and then just whoosh, going down your body to affect your multidimensional DNA to expand it. But when we talk Mount Shasta, there's a lot of Palladian light language and
Mhm.
Lemurian light language, very prevalent on Shasta, just blasting everyone.
Yeah.
What about in Sedona? In Sedona, it's more of the Solaran, the light codes of the
Mhm.
sun, even of the moon, but a lot of Solaran light codes. And so yeah. So just know there are so many ways to expand your awareness, but
Mhm.
look at the light language, watch the videos of Sedona, of Shasta, see what you feel, and just use it to propel you open. And again,
Awesome.
if you are watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, give us a like, and we love to read the comments. Have you been to either place, both places? Do you do light language? Have you ever experienced light language? How do you feel about the energies in Sedona or Shasta? Or do you have another place you've been to that you found incredibly sacred? Share it with us.
Yeah, we'd love to hear more about it. Absolutely. We'd love
Mm-hmm.
to hear about
All
it.
righty.
And also check out The Source Within on YouTube because I sent out some Reiki healing from
Mm-hmm.
Shasta as
Yeah.
well. Thank you all for listening and thanks for having me, Tracy.
Oh, you're welcome. We'll see you all again.